fun bit of channel lore. My other Alyssa Millano video, I think, is the highest viewed video on the entire channel, but I haven't gone back to her because I don't chase the views, I chase the news. Can you dig it? So she has really been back at it again, making headlines, particularly trending on Twitter because of her endorsement of Joe Biden, who, if you are unfamiliar, has had what some call credible allegations brought up against him, and her being a head cheerleader of the hashtag #MeToo movement. Yeah, a lot of people find her position now to be rather hypocritical, which totally is. But what we're about to sit back and listen to is her explain herself and why she's decided to rock with Joe Biden. I mean, Hollyweird is Hollyweird. The established, she has handlers. She's had handlers her entire life. The short answer is her handlers told her to. But either ways, let's go.
Ding.
So it's actually quite a serious reason,
okay.
I think. So I endorsed Joe Biden.
Okay, good.
And there have been accusations against Joe about a sexual assault.
Right, and people were saying, "How can you do that?" Because you're.
I have not publicly said anything about this. If you remember, it kind of took me a long time to publicly say anything about Harvey as well, because I believe that
justice for Harvey. Seriously, he got screwed over in his prosecution. No matter how you look at it. But either way, justice for Harvey, who, she threw under the bus, as well as anybody that she could get her hands on to throw under the bus because, hashtag Me Too. Women were so oppressed. Oh my goodness. A woman would never lie. Believe all women. All this other fun stuff that ultimately is just, it'll end up biting you in the ass because you can't just do that. I mean, back in the day, it was about believing evidence. We relied on our criminal justice system to find some level of justice for legitimate victims. But the deal is that you do have to prove the legitimacy of your claim, and that goes for men, women, anybody. But 2016, when they were all high off Trump derangement syndrome. We are women! Yes, roar! I'm a nasty woman and all that other fun stuff. Yeah, it comes back and bites you eventually.
Even though we should believe women, and that is an important thing, and what that statement really means is, for so long, the go-to has been not to believe them.
No, the go-to, darling, has been to believe evidence, has been to, hey, take that to the police and get what you can out of it. Yes, is there absolutely no doubt that there are cops who are jerks and won't take things seriously? Of course, but at the same time, it's the system that we have. It really is. And to sit there and be like, oh, well, I know better than a jury of peers is ridiculous.
So really, we have to sort of societally change that mindset to believing women, but that does not mean at the expense of not, giving men their due process. And
she said it. Due process. Finally, yes, that's the point. That's been the point this entire time, Alyssa, and the rest of the Me Too cabal. You freaking commies, man. Seriously.
Investigating situations.
I like that.
And giving, it's got to be fair in both directions.
Okay.
So
yeah, you can't just believe all women. Yeah, this is amazing. Guys, you want to know why I talk as much as I do about biology and biological imperatives? Is because, to an extent, I don't believe our female counterparts, the female mind, is geared towards honor or integrity. I think it's geared more towards, being a chameleon and doing whatever it is that it feels it needs to do to achieve whatever whatever it wants to achieve in the moment, without being able to strategically look forward and see, add a little wisdom to it, and hey, try to see a little bit further past the moment at hand. And so thusly, here she is now. Yeah, we got to give them their due process. We got to give guys their due process. Alyssa. Oh, darling. That's the reason you should have sat down a real long time ago.
I've been very vocal about Biden and my support for him. I've known him for a long time, and I did do my due diligence because part of it was that, and the article that sort of stood out to me was that Time's Up decided not to take the case. And
that's the thing. Are you not involved with Time's Up in and of itself? Was that not? Of course it wasn't, because you're just you're more along the lines of a pitch victim, if anything else. These Holly weirdos, man. They're puppets, and they've been puppets for mostly their entire lives. No offense, but you live on a different planet than the average human being, and so thusly, instead of having the foresight or even the rationale, because you live in the bubble that you live in, you don't have the ability to, no one's gonna sit there and tell you no. Nobody's gonna sit there and be like, hey, look, this is the way things go. You kind of have to learn as you go. You're the type to have to touch the stove instead of listening when everyone told you it was hot, and thusly, boom, you find yourself in a position of pure and utter hypocrisy. And hopefully this is that. It won't be the end of it, because as long as Twitter exists, as long as we keep giving women the internet, I'm joking, guys, a little bit. But yeah, as long as Twitter and stuff like that exists, there will always, and the media is what it is. But this is the thing, media is changing right now too, because there's so many different journalists getting laid off, and there's a trimming of the fat in a lot of areas and a lot of spaces right now, which is pretty amazing to watch, but a little nerve-wracking at the same time. Let's continue on with what she has to say.
Oh,
that was important to you. That meant, well, maybe there's more to this story here.
Right. I did my work, and I spoke to Time's Up, and I just don't feel comfortable throwing away a decent man that I've known for 15 years.
Yep.
And can you only imagine the men that, other women have known for also? Can you imagine so how Winona Ryder and Penelope Cruz and everybody that stood up there for Johnny Depp, how they was feeling, huh? It sucks when somebody sits there and really throws out an accusation without any kind of legal due process that needs to take place. It's why, Jesus, those who don't appreciate the society that they live in will happily burn it to the ground. And this is, with the feminism and the gender and grievance studies, African American studies and Mexican and Hispanic American studies, and all of these other really non-essential means of academia, which have only created more cushy bureaucratic and teacher type jobs for these nutcases. If you need a example, check out Lisa Durden and what she did on Tucker Carlson for a local example. It's why such ideas, the ideas of communism, the ideologies of socialism and Marxism and the like, can take place in a country that has granted these types of these individuals so much relative comfort.
In this time of complete chaos, without there being a thorough investigation.
Yeah.
I'm sure that mainstream media would be jumping all over this as well.
No, because he's the nominee. Okay, see, and that's the thing, guys. He's the nominee. Like, of course, like the mainstream media is blue team, red team, whichever team whatever team butters its bread. You know, whatever way the editor decides to go is the way in which many of these spaces go. So come on, man. Like, like, oh yeah, well, you know, the media is going to be all over it. Sure, they are.
If you know, if they
we weren't in a pandemic, if there was more credible, if there was evidence
if they found more evidence or through their investigation.
So the good on my man for pulling out of there, because she was completely going off the rail. She couldn't particularly, you know, grasp onto the next to another talking point. But yeah, like this is rather interesting to watch, as, you know, she kind of has to throw out the whole due process thing. That thing she was not interested in when you know, TDS was really getting boiling over after he won in 2016 and all that other fun stuff. So guys, this has been a blast. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute, like, aren't the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and speak. Let me know what do you guys think in the comments. Like Alyssa, who's the boss, darling? Who's the boy? Wasn't she in the movie Poison Ivy as well? I think I brought that up in the last one. It's been so long since I talked about her, but I just find I'm definitely gonna do a follow up when she has to basically eat crow. Yes, sweetheart, there's a thing called due process, and every single American is what's the name to it? Has a right to it. And it's actually, you know what? I'm not going to be that big of a dick at the end here, though, because good on you for, you know, finally coming around, even though your hand was severely forced. Either ways, guys, you may feel differently. You may, hey, man, she was always right. I sincerely doubt that. I know those comments in the other video. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, okay? And until the next one.